mood a little bit now. You know, every time I see people on the news who've survived a horrific experience, don't you wonder what it felt like for them? It always goes through my mind, what were they thinking? Like this man who recently escaped a fire in his high-rise apartment in Chicago. Unbelievable, isn't it? He later said he just wanted to get out alive. Well, today we'll find out what goes through your head in one of those life and death situations. Our next guest, just last week, survived in a plane that crashed and landed in the ocean. Please welcome Patrick and Timothy Butler.
Thank you.
Last week you had this experience, and look at you. Not a scratch on you.
We're fine. We're fine. We had a great time. I mean, you know, it started out, it started out, you know, as a great trip, and it ended in tragedy. As far as the plane goes, we survived. We're, you know, here today. It happened last week.
But now,
just
Patrick, about this time?
Yeah, just about this time.
You were the pilot.
I was the pilot.
And there was obviously something malfunctioned with your plane. What happened?
We had an engine out. They still haven't quite determined exactly what happened. All I know, it wasn't pilot error. Thank God, you know. We were at 2,000 feet, about 3 miles off the coast, and we were coming back into the Orange County Airport, which is down in Southern California. And when the engine went out, it was just immediate, oh my God.
Yeah, no kidding. Timothy, did you know right away?
Oh yeah, I looked right at the prop. And Pat looked at me and he says, engine's out, I'm not kidding. Which normally we do stall tactics. I mean, engine's out, ha ha ha, you know. But when I looked at the prop, I looked at him and said, you know.
You normally can't see the prop because it's spinning.
Yeah, it's usually spinning, so.
Okay, now what happens at a moment like that? You're in control, Patrick.
Right.
Did either of you panic? Was there screaming? What was it?
You could have heard a pin drop in the cockpit. We actually had a third person who was my passenger with us. And after I told Tim that the engine was out, you know, and we were going to actually do an impact into the water, he looked at me, and he has all the confidence in the world in me because we have practiced this many times before. So my first instinct was, you know, my cheeks got hot and my ears got hot, like when you're in trouble, you know, when you're a kid, you know. That's what happened to me anyways, you know.
It's like, uh-oh, who's going to bail me
you know,
out?
I mean, and immediately I knew what the stats were to survive this, 98% fatality, 2% survival, you know.
And that's what was going through your mind?
Yeah.
I've got a 2% chance here?
I have a 2% chance to live, and that's not much of a chance. However, let's do what we got to do and stay positive to at least bring the airplane close to the water, or, you know, close to the shore so we can make it in.
How many minutes of terror was it before you hit the ocean?
We were at 2,000 feet. We had 2 minutes before we impacted the water, and we had 2 minutes before the plane sank.
Okay, well, let's get to the plane then. You basically land on the water, and, I mean, I would think that the plane would sink automatically, immediately.
Well, it was a low wing, so
I
when it finally settled down, it just floated enough for us to, I had cracked the door open before we hit. Pat instructed me, he says, crack the door open so when we hit, if the plane buckles, at least we can get out.
We can open up the door. Otherwise, if the door is shut, you know, and we had the impact, you know, the door could have been stuck, and
so nobody passed out on impact, so you weren't locked in your seat belts or anything. No. You got out of the plane. Pretty cold water.
The water was 52 degrees. We were a quarter mile away from the shore. We stood on the wing, and somebody actually did hear my mayday. I had called it 5 times, and finally the 5th time, somebody from the Marine Corps Air Station, El Toro, said, "Who are you and where are you?" And all I could get out, because we had less than 10 seconds before we hit the water, was Dakota 2476 Yankee off of Seal Beach, and that was all I wanted to say.
How long did it take someone to find you?
Oh, not till we got to shore.
We actually swam to shore before anybody could, yeah. So.
And believe me, we were hoping there was a taxi on its way, you know.
we were.
Unbelievable. No hypothermia, no after effects from this, Timothy?
The passenger in the back he went down to 91 degrees, body temperature, his core temperature. I was at 94.3, and here's Mr. Cool walks out at 98.6, so.
My goodness.
Yeah, he's the one flying the plane.
Will you ever fly again?
Oh, absolutely.
I've already gone since I went 2 days ago, just to re-experience this and to make sure there's no demons.
Counting on that 98%.
Yes, I was.
Wow.
I sure
what
was.
A pleasure to meet you both.
Thank you very much.
An amazing story. Some angels were watching over you.
Yes, they are.
Next, we're going to meet artist whose work has been exhibited in some of the nation's top museums. He says anybody can do it. We'll be right back with the story.